I bow to all the seekers of truth. As I told you yesterday, that truth is what it is. We cannot understand it. You have to feel it. We cannot conceptualize it. And you cannot feel it also at this human awareness. We have to become a subtler being, as described in all the scriptures, that you are to be born again, and that you have to become the spirit to feel the existence of truth. First thing, we have to understand that all this is a process of a living energy. Divine is a living energy, and divinity within you also is a living energy. We do not understand sometimes what is a living energy. When we sow a seed in the grounds, they sprout by themselves. When a mother conceives a child, according to the normal nature of human beings, their body has to expel everything that is foreign. But when the child is conceived, it is not only kept in the body, but is nourished, looked after, developed, and at the right time it is expelled. There are so many other things which cannot be explained through medical science. But one must know that to understand what I am saying, you must have an open mind, like a scientist has. And if you find what I am saying, which is like a hypothesis, is true and gives you the experience of the truth, then as honest people you must accept it, because it is for your emancipation and for the emancipation of the whole world. In our evolutionary process, now we have become human beings. But as you know, we have not achieved the absoluteness. For that, something has to happen within us. Last breakthrough has to take place, and that is what we are talking about here. You have been already told about the mechanism that is here. And this mechanism exists within you. These two lines that you see left and right are nourishing our left and right sympathetic nervous system. And the central one that you see here is nourishing our parasympathetic nervous system. Now these centers are created by these two sides, left and right, like this in the center, and these centers are all the time exhausted by us whenever we try to use energy. For example, if you are running fast, you can increase the heart rate, but it comes to its normal self through the parasympathetic nervous system, while in emergency you use your sympathetic nervous system. Thus, we start exhausting the energy of these centers, and that's how we get into problems of our physical, mental, and emotional being. Supposing we are exhausting the energy on the right hand side, means we are very futuristic, we are planning all the time, thinking of the future, then what happens? The right side starts moving like this. And something happens on the left side, a shock, then it breaks. When it breaks, then we lose our connection with the central nervous system. That means we lose our connection with our brain that controls it, and we become on our own. And that's how psychosomatic troubles start, especially cancer, and the malignancy sets in. When the Kundalini rises from there, she goes through this center as well as this center, pushes them together and nourishes them. Now let us see what is the quality of all these centers within us. This is all within us, and we have to see that how we exist with the energy of the center. The first center that you see is down below. This center, which is down below, is below the Kundalini. And so we have to understand that this center supports the rising of the Kundalini, but is not pierced through by the Kundalini. This center is for all our excretion, even sex. So those people who say that through sex you can raise your Kundalini, they are absolutely wrong and are misleading you. Because you can see here clearly it is below that. This is the center of innocence. It's the center where we say that the deity of innocence is sitting, who incarnated later on as Christ, on the higher center there, between where you see this my red spot, is one of the windows. It is on the optic chiasma. And that's how we say that Christ was the incarnation of innocence. Because he is sitting on the optic chiasma, he said that thou shalt not have adulterous eyes. This is the sentence he has used. To such a subtle way he has suggested that you will not have adulterous eyes, meaning you will have very pure eyes, innocent eyes. Why did he talk of the eyes? Because he's sitting on the optic chiasma. It's a very constricted center, and he was to be resurrected to show that you can also pass through that center very easily. So his message is not his crucifixion, but his resurrection. And that is how we are all going to resurrected, not after death, but right now. We should not postpone our resurrection anymore. Then the second center that we have is very important, which is called as the Swadhisthana. This center looks after physical and our mental activities. Perhaps the doctors don't know that it has a very important work to do, is that it has to nourish the brain with new cells, because all the time the brain is using these cells for its activity. So the energy has to go from this center up there, you can see, and then it nourishes the center. It nourishes the brain through its activity. Now when we are very futuristic, or we are using too much of a brain, I should say too much of a brain activity we have, we are futuristic, we are planning too much, thinking too much, all the time thoughts and thoughts and thoughts. That time we are using the energy of this center. But this center has another very important thing to be done, that it goes round, as you see, it moves all round here. It's shown here directly, but it's connected to the center. And it moves round and round and round and gives energy to this area where we have our liver, our pancreas, our spleen, kidney, and parts of intestines. Now, if we start exhausting ourselves with too much thinking, then the main work of the center suffers, and that's how we develop all these diseases of all these organs. Like, for example, with liver, you develop a liver problem. Liver problem means that liver has a function to emit heat from your body, which is poison, into the bloodstream. But when liver gets upset, we should say, the heat is retained in the liver. It passes upward and downward. When it passes upward, it affects a center there, as you can see, what we call as the right heart, and people develop what we call the disease as asthma. And when it passes downwards, it reaches the kidneys and coagulates, and you get kidney troubles, for which you have to go on dialysis and ultimately to die. So this heat is created because our liver is out of care. At the same time, this heat can also pass if a person, say, at a very young age drinks and puts in too much of physical efforts and is all the time busy thinking. He might get a very fatal heart attack because this heat can go towards his heart and just collapse it. Also, those people work very hard like that can get a very massive heart attack. But the people who have other problems on the left-hand side are different type. They are the people who have lethargic organs. These organs do not work. And when they do not work, then they have all the other problems of the left side, as we call it. And this also causes another serious problem of psychosomatic troubles. Now, the essence of this center is that it is creativity. When the Kundalini nourishes the center, people become extremely creative. Now, you have seen these artists who are playing here. They were very simple, ordinary artists, but after coming to Sahaja Yoga, suddenly they have bloomed so much. The most surprising thing is that people, say even from Switzerland, who do not know a word of Sanskrit, who do not know a word of Hindi language, have composed poems, they have put them to tunes, and they sing as good as these people can sing. It's impossible to believe that even the English, who were so difficult to even pronounce a sentence in Hindi language, are now fluently speaking Sanskrit and talking all these things. Because of this creativity improves you. We have so many artists in India who came to Sahaja Yoga. I don't know if you know their names or not, like Amjad Ali, Jalota, so many of them. They got their realization, and after that, now today they are very well-known artists. Also the paintings. We have some Australian people who became quite good artists after coming to Sahaja Yoga. So it gives you a sense of aesthetics, and also it gives you the energy to express yourself. Now, if you have the technique of how to create anything, say you want to make a house, or you want to paint, or if you want to do something, moldings, or anything that you want to do, if you have the technique, the creativity, the power of creativity starts pouring in you, and you start producing things on which you cannot even have thought of, and these things happen to a person. So a person can become extremely dynamic with this. But if with that you do not keep your Sahaja Yoga practice, means if you do not keep your connection with the divine, then the energy gets exhausted. That's why self-realization is very important for every artist, that he should get his connection with this all-pervading power, which is the combination of all the powers, so that he doesn't feel exhausted with it. Not only that, but all the time the source is flowing into him. Constantly it has to flow, and that's why you have to do little practice of Sahaja Yoga after getting your realization, as I told you yesterday, that now you don't stop at this point, you have to make the connection perfect. Without the connection, it may be that you may go down. So it's best is to keep your connection on and work it out, to give full respect to yourself. to your being. You are not an ordinary thing. You are not a chicken or something like that. You are a human being. And the beauty that is within you is to be discovered, is to be nourished, and to be proud of. It is such a great thing you have within yourself, the powers, which I'll tell you one by one. Now above that is the third center, which called as Nabhi, means the navel. This is the center of the way we absorb the virtues, or the virtues are enlightened. When this center is enlightened, we really become righteous. We don't have to tell, now you don't do this and don't do that. You just become like a saint, a real saint. Will not do wrong things. In the same way, when a person gets his realization by the virtue of this center, he becomes absolutely balanced. Balanced with his family life, with his wife, with his children, balanced with the politics, economics, balanced with the society, balanced with all the people whom he knows. In a very balancing way, he starts behaving. There's not one-sided activity. For example, somebody may be very much attached to the wife and may try to harm others. Somebody who is very much attached to others may harm his wife. So a kind of a balance is established by this. And a person who gets this develops a personality which we call as regal. The sense of dignity comes into such a person. Now you see, our children have lost the virtues. Our children don't have that regality. They have become very cheapish also, and they run after materialism and things like that. They fight for small things. It's not only children, even the grown-ups are like that, and they try to waste their energy fighting for something that is so useless. So by enlightenment of this center, you understand the value of matter. And the value of matter is this, that it has aesthetics, first of all, and secondly, you can express your love only through matter. If you love somebody, you will give them something. A little flower also can express your love. Anything can express your love through matter. And then you become a very generous and very enjoyable person. Some people feel that if you become generous, you will be bankrupt. It's not so. On the contrary. If you open one door, no air will come in. But if you open the other door, all the air will start circulating in the same way. When a person is generous, he starts getting so many blessings because he is also connected with the divine that he is amazed. He doesn't know what to do with the things that he has got, and then he starts pouring it to others. There are so many things people are telling me about miracles and miracles of even material things in their jobs, in their purchasing, in their shopping, the way they have seen miracles happening, that it is nothing but just that this center is enlightened. And with this center, within you, a righteousness comes in. And this righteousness doesn't force anybody else. It's just righteousness itself, which doesn't command anything or demand anything, but it becomes a respectable personality. And you just start really understanding that, look at this man. Somebody was telling me today that in the office, people ask, how are you so dignified? I said, I didn't know I was so dignified. No, you don't do anything undignified, and you do everything just like a child also. So there's a childlike dignity you develop, and it's a beautiful thing to happen. Really, it's angelic. Now then we have another center on top, which we call as the heart center. It is in the center. Now in the sternum bone, behind the sternum bone, this center is there, and thymus produces the antibodies in your sternum bone. These antibodies later on fight your diseases. When you are about 12 years of age, they go into the whole body and waiting there for a signal from your sternum bone. That means, supposing you see something, you get frightened, this bone starts pulsating. When it pulsates, the antibodies know there's some emergency and they get prepared for it. Now this is such a normal thing to happen to people. But insecurities can be of the worst type. And when these insecurities develop, people can develop all kinds of diseases of the lungs. Especially the women develop what you call as the breast cancer. Mostly these women are insecure. Maybe their husbands are not good, or they feel that the husband may leave them alone or something like that. There are certain insecurities that are built in. They might be quite frightened personalities. I've seen most of the air hostesses have this center heart catching because they are afraid they may miss the plane, or I don't know, they have to be on the job and run and do. Mostly these time-bound jobs cause you the trouble here of the center heart. And this center heart is very important because for women especially, they have to be secured. If their motherhood is challenged, then they are even worse. And this is how one has to understand a woman should be very much respected. If she is your wife, she is your child, or anything, she has to be respected and given all the security. It's the woman who makes the society, it's the woman who creates the children, it's the woman who looks after the children. So the men have to give all the security and the protection to the womanhood, and understand that it's a very important factor, which if we neglect, we can have lots of problems with our society, and the women will start competing with men, and then the society will be all dislocated. So the center on the left side and the right side are the centers of your father, of your mother and your father. If there's any problem with your father, then the right side catches and it gives you asthma. First of all, you are, we can say, vulnerable to asthma due to bad liver. Plus, if you have problems with your father or eat with your fatherhood. Supposing you are an unhappy father, or maybe that you are not looking after your children, then you get this center caught up very badly. Then on the left side is the mothers. And the mothers is that when some mothers are not good mothers, also children can get this. Or when the children are not nice to the mother, they also get it. So mother and father are very important factors in Sahaja Yoga, and you have to understand that if your parents have been unkind to you, you must forgive them. Just forget about them because they have given you birth. You should be thankful and just forget about them. That's the best way to get over the problem of left and right heart. Then we have on top, if you see, is this chakra which we call as the Vishuddhi chakra. This Vishuddhi chakra has got 16 petals and looks after our ear, nose, eyes, throat, everything. Our face, everything is looked after by this center. Now this center also has left and right. All centers have left and right. And when you feel guilty, the left center catches, which is a very dangerous thing because this gives you diseases like angina or maybe diseases like spondylitis and lethargic organs. Right when a person is very aggressive, talks very aggressively and tries to dominate others and use his power of speech to show off, the right side catches. The reactions of this can be many, that the hand gets frozen and they also get the cancer of the throat. All kinds of things can happen with this chakra being in trouble. Now then we go to the chakra here in between the optic chiasma. It is placed like this and it's absolutely closed. It is when you forgive. Christ has said that you have to forgive. When you forgive everyone, and also when you ask for forgiveness, this chakra opens like this. Otherwise it cannot open. We saw yesterday that some people, at least there were 10-15 people who never got their realization because they had not forgiven. Then I put my hand, worked on them, and it worked. But it's very simple to forgive, because whether you forgive or don't forgive, you don't do anything. It's a myth. It's absolutely a myth that you don't forgive. But for that myth, you suffer so much. So you have to forgive to open the center of Agya. It's very important, and is the deity on that is Jesus Christ. Then you enter into the area called limbic area, which is on top, which is called as Sahasrara in Sanskrit. Means there are 1,000 petals. These look like tongues of flames as described in the Bible. All of them look like tongues of flames, but in the brain they are of 7 colors. beautifully, very silently, peacefully opening, closing. So when the Kundalini goes into the limbic area, it enlightens your brain. It enlightens. And as I told you yesterday, there are many children who have dullards have now records in their examination. They have put so much of new dimension to their understanding that their teachers, their professors are surprised. This is what happens when the brain, which is used very little, starts getting enlightened. Automatically you start using it. Then it pierces through the fontanelle bone area, which is a very soft bone, through which this Kundalini comes out. I told you yesterday that Kundalini is your mother, individual mother, and she is the power of pure desire. All other desires that we have are impure. Today we want to have, say, a chair, then we want to have a table, then we want to have a house, then we are never satisfied. We go from one to another. And it is a principle of economics that wants are not satiable in general. So what is that want which is satiable? Is this want, this pure desire. And what is the pure desire is to be one with this divine power. Whether you know it or not, whether you are aware it or not, it exists in all the human beings. And the only thing that has to be done is it is to be awakened and to be connected to this all-pervading power. So the truth is that you are not this body, not this mind, not these conditionings or ego, but you are the pure spirit. And the second one is that this all-pervading power, which is a wonderful thing. It's impossible to describe it in this short lecture of mine, but it's the one which organizes, which does all the living work. To the minutest things it organizes. So complicated everything is, but it manages all that, not only, but above all, it forgives and it loves. So such a beautiful power is all around us. So why should we have any worry? And now we have to know that yesterday we had lots of questions and nice questions are there. Today also I would like you to ask me questions. But in asking questions, please remember not to ask what is your opinion about this person or that person. Of course, now you must have known that I condemn all the people who take money in the name of God, absolutely openly. So please don't ask me questions about such people. Moreover, you ask questions which are related to our subject, because I have come here not to get anything out of you, but to give you what is your own, your beauty, your divinity, your glory. And then you will be surprised that the first thing that happens to you is a new awareness, a new dimension in your awareness comes in, and this awareness is called as collective consciousness, by which you feel others on your fingertips. Who is the other then? Also, within yourself you can feel what's wrong with you. Only thing you have to be decoding these signals, and you should know how to correct it. This is what has to happen, which is very simple. Within a month's time, you can become your own masters, and you know how to treat yourself and how to look after yourself. I'm sorry I am here only for today. Tomorrow I have to go to Canberra, and in this lecture, whatever is possible in short, I've tried to tell you about this great mechanism that is within us. But by this you achieve so many beautiful things, as I told you yesterday, that you achieve the peace, you achieve the witness state, you achieve the collective consciousness, you achieve the light in your attention, which acts. You pay attention to something, it acts, it works. Then you get the power that you can raise the Kundalini of others, like one light enlightened can enlighten another light. Then it gives you a complete idea about yourself and about others. Above all, you get an absolute knowledge about everything. When you have the absolute knowledge, there's no quarrel, no war, because everybody knows it. on their fingertips. To know on your central nervous system is the real Bodha, from where the word Buddha has come, is the Vida, from where the word Vedas have come. Gnostics, Gna means Jnana means the knowledge. And the knowledge is not mental knowledge, but the knowledge on your central nervous system. Whatever we have achieved in our ascent as human beings, we have got all this on our central nervous system. For example, you take a dog or a horse through a dirty place. He can pass through easily. But a human being cannot pass because he has developed a new awareness about it. He knows what his beauty is. He knows what virtues are. He knows what his sin is. For an animal, there is no sin. He do whatever he likes because he's completely under the control of the divine. But for human beings, there's freedom. And he has to judge it with trial and error and reach a point to understand that he has to get to a higher awareness. May God bless you all.